All right. 2025 is here. How many are happy that it's here? I remember we had the Bible study last week. We had the candlelight Lord's Supper, if you were here for that. And over half of you said you were glad 24 was gone. So, okay, all right, now here we go. We're in this thing now. We do something. It's always this new thing we do, this start fresh. And most of you are going to try something new. And it's usually over by the second week of February, just letting you know. So we make New Year's resolutions. We try to do what we can do, and then we don't really get there. So I just thought I'd ask a question. Let's just ask a question, and let's just see what happens as we get through this. Because, God is really, let me say this, is really about new things all the time. You just don't know how much, and you are not. We're not. We don't like that stuff. So I'm going to ask the question, and I'm going to let you just let it sit there. If you could ask God for anything this year, what would it be? Anything at all. And before you just jump on that, that's going to create some other questions you're going to have to deal with, because something came to mind real quick. This is what I'd like God to have from God. Now, this question was asked in the New Testament by Jesus Christ himself. So let me help you a little bit. So if Jesus Christ comes in and sits beside you tonight and says, anything you want, I have ideas. And I'm going to try. Now, here's the thought with that. Are we kind of thinking big enough for that question? Are we big enough for this? So what would we ask God for? And we know that God already answered this question. He answered it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. And then I'm going to tell you about the story, but not right now, because I'll mess up the question. So your Jesus is sitting beside you right now, and he says, what do you want? Now, you're dealing with the Son of God who created everything. That's a tall order. And here's what you would probably do right off the top of your head. I would like to be healthy this year. Really? Son of God. And you want to feel better. You see how this works? This is kind of hard for us because it creates other questions. Is that a big enough thought? Well, if you've been sick, then it's a pretty good thought. But you're talking to the Son of God. And this question was about to be asked of somebody. It happened. And so I don't know what you would say to that. I don't know if you would say, I would like a money tree in the backyard. There's no seasons. The leaves never fall off except for money. And then your daughter or your son comes into the room and says, Dad, I'd like to have some money. And I say, go to the backyard. Now, let's think about that for a minute. We just asked the Son of God for a money tree. Is that going to cause some problems? Maybe, because your children are going to grow up and think, what? I just want to stay right here because of that money tree. I'm never going to leave this house. And that's probably one of your questions is like, how do I get my kids to move out this year? How does that work? Can they pay for their own phone finally? Something. So I don't know. So we got back to this question. Son of God, let's do it again, because I don't think you're thinking big enough. Son of God's right there. He's asking this question, what do you want? What do you want? And it happened in the Old Testament too. Let me tell you that first. So we have this guy named Solomon. You've heard of Solomon? If you hadn't, you can look it up. It's King Solomon. So this question was asked, what do you want? What do you want? You know what he said? He wanted to be smart. He wanted wisdom. So he wrote Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. He wrote all these things, Song of Solomon. He wrote all this stuff. And he was he was the smartest man to ever live. Now, here's what you would like about that. He was also the richest man who ever lived because he was the smartest. So let's think about that question. Do we want a money tree, or do we want to be smart? Or do we want to be healthy? Or do we want our kids just to leave the house? You see how hard this could be? This is going to be, yeah, kids leaving, good. I'm just saying to you, this question was asked, this King Solomon, and it's going to be asked in just a minute in the New Testament. And I'm saying if he was asking you this question, I don't know if we have the answer for this. Now, I will say this. God already answered this question. So he knew the answer. See, this is when you say, God, what's the most important thing to you? What do you want? He's already answered it. Here's what he said. He said, I want everybody to know my son, Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whosoever believed in him would not perish, but everybody would have everlasting life. Do you know what's going to happen with that? Not everybody's going to get it. So you're saying to me that God's wish may not come true for all people, but yet it's there. You know what the problem is? Us. We get to choose. Wow, if we didn't have to choose, can you imagine how life would be? It'd be so much better, wouldn't it? Or would it, or not? We're not really good at this choosing thing. We're not really good at it. But he did answer the question for you. He said, I just want you guys to know my son, Jesus Christ, because that way you won't perish, and that way everybody can have eternal life, and we can have a relationship because I love you that much. So let's think about that question. Let's think about it. You want to do it again? Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. So we have Jesus Christ sitting beside you. The Son of God walks in, sits down. And would he be a visitor? Or would he be already welcome? This is a little different. You got to think for a minute. I don't want to mess up the question. But I don't know if are you smart enough to answer this one? Am I smart enough to answer this one? Because do we think in years, or do we think in eternity, or we just think about, we'll only live this long, maybe we can do something with what I got now, and that's probably what you would do. You would say that. I know what you would do. You would say, I need a bunch of money so that I can help the poor. No, maybe not. But I think we would, because I think that's what we think is important. Maybe we need rest. See, here's what you got to be careful of, because Jesus is sitting there. You don't need to ask for something he's already given you. You just don't know. You just don't know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I need to ask for something. And that's a question. You say, we just messing this thing up. Now that's another question. What is it that he hasn't given us? That's the heart. This is all messed up. Maybe we need rest. Let's do this. So to rest is to trust what God has done is enough. Because I don't know what your new year is going to look like, or 25. I have a lot of ideas that I want to see happen. More and more people know Jesus Christ. That's really what I want. I'm working really hard at it. I really am. And I get here early and leave late. I get here dark and it leaves it dark. And I'm going to talk to God about that. Now maybe that's what we should fix, because I'm a golfer and I need the sunshine all the time. Maybe I need to do that. You see how this works? Now we're just going to ask for rest. Maybe you need peace. But isn't he already given that? So I don't know. Has God done enough for you to just like breathe? Because it feels like we have to help him a little bit. And then life doesn't go the way we want it. And then we have to work a little harder at it. And then he has this is cool right here. So he brings this verse in. Now he's sitting beside you. Can you imagine him telling you, I said, all of you need to come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened. Weary and burdened, raise your hand. That's not too bad. It's only a third of you. You know what happened? You're scared. Because I'm asking questions like, okay, you want to do weary and burdened again? Let's try it one more time. Weary and burdened. Okay, that's better. So he looks over at you and says, really? Do you not know what I've done for you? Do you not know what I've given you? No, you don't. And here's what he does. And I will give you rest. You weary and burdened people, you can get rest now. And then he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. He says, you need to learn from me. He says, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For your souls? I thought you was looking for rest for your body. This is so weird, isn't it? This question is messing me up. I've been thinking about it all week. What would I ask God for? I started out with golf clubs. And then I said, well, I don't think it's big enough. I'm like, so this is weird. And then for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. But it doesn't feel like it. Maybe we're taking on something that's not supposed to be us. Maybe we're doing that. But he's asking that question, so what do you want? I don't know. I'm still working it. I'm still working it. So let's do something. So let's make sure you understand, and this is hard for you. So God doesn't work out of the past. I'm going to say something right now that's going to really just go ahead and mess you all up again. God doesn't do the same thing twice. He doesn't repeat the miracles. This is so strange, isn't it? Now, and everything's about the cause, though. Whatever he has to do to get to the cause, and the cause was you. That was the question. Ask God that question. He says, oh, it's you, by the way. It's you. All that's being done for you. So God is not acting out of the past, but he's doing this new thing, and he wants to know if you see it. And we'll get to that verse in just a minute, because everybody loves this verse I'm going to throw up to you. It's a t-shirt verse. You'll love it in just a minute. But I don't want to get you there too fast. And then I have that story, remember over here? I got that story where he asked that question and this guy answered it. And so we're going to get to that in a minute. But let's think about this. So God's doing a new thing, and he wants to know, can you see it? Now here's what's wrong with us. We don't like new things. We live from past. But he's trying to tell you can't live from past because you can't lead your life from the past because you won't get anywhere. But you like the past because you're comfortable with it. Every one of you usually sit in the same place that you do every week when you come to church. You know why? Because nothing happened there and we're okay. So we're going to sit here. Let me tell you what you won't do. You won't rearrange your house. Listen to me, man. We will keep a lazy boy for 25 years. You know why? Because it's comfortable. We don't like new stuff. So you're serving a God who likes brand new things. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that. And my mic going out and bring me something down here. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's happening. Because God's all about doing something new. Is that good? Am I on? This one? All right. You sure? Okay. All right. So I just got a new mic. Was this in God's plan that I get something new tonight? Did we plan this? So this is your problem with this whole thing, is that it's hard for us not to, we don't like planning new things. We just want it to stay the same. And then God comes in and throws this verse in, which is hard to do. This is hard. Let me give it to you. And I'm going to talk to you about it because most of you don't know what it really means, because it just feels good when you read it. It's just a feel-good verse. It says, see, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? We have to stop. So if you go back, and I like doing this. I always go back to the original Hebrew in this. He says this new thing, let me tell you what the new thing is. The new thing is, it's never happened before, and it's unprecedented. That's when they read that verse in Hebrew, that's what they're thinking. This is something that's never happened before, it's never been done twice, and it's brand new. That's what's happening. And then it's springing up. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is kind of how it looks, because I did this. I've been planting ryegrass. If you heard my Bible study this week, I've been planting some ryegrass out there, and I'm waiting very patiently. I planted it too late. I know that. But all of a sudden, I'm looking out there, and I'm seeing a little green. And all of a sudden, it's starting to come up a little bit. And I put it in my fence so the deer would leave it alone. And so it's starting to move. And so he's saying the same thing here. He's saying the same thing here. He said that this thing is moving and it's happening now. What you need to know, this verse is not past tense. This is all written in present. The verbs are in present. What he's saying to you right now as you sit here, God is actually moving and something is happening all around you. And then he has to ask the question. He's got to ask the question. Did you not know there was a question in the middle of this verse? He says, do you not see it? Did you not see what was going on? It's not totally visible yet, but it's happening all around you. And this is our problem. We just sometimes we're not paying attention. So what is God doing? See, here's what we get used to. We just try to get through. And this is what, we'll go back to that question. What are we going to do? Are we going to tell Jesus, can you just help me make it through 25? That's what you're going to ask the Son of God. I know it sounds really good because that's how we feel sometimes. But God's doing so many new things in your office and you're not paying attention. He's doing things at the grocery store and you're not paying attention. Because you think you're going in to get groceries for you. You think that's how he's thinking? Let me help you real quick. So the kingdom of God only moves through his people. We just did it. It only moves through you. So when you go to the grocery store to get eggs, what are you doing? That's what I'm saying. We sometimes miss the whole thing because we're not paying attention. So my grass is coming up. You can't see it real well, but it's there. And this is what he said in this verse. He said, you can't see it all yet, but it's coming. And it's already moving. He said, I just want to make sure my children are paying attention to it. And this is what he was saying. He said, I'm making a way for you guys. I'm making a way in the wilderness. It feels like some of you have been there a while. I know that feeling. He said, even when you're not paying attention and when you think things are not going to work out, I'm there. My love for you has never changed. My promises for you has never changed. That's what I'm saying. We just can't ask him for something that he's already given. Can we? Maybe we need more of it. Or maybe we need to pay attention. He said, so I'm making a way through the wilderness for you. I'm making a way. And he said, I'm going to put some streams in the wasteland. And you're going to have nothing to do with it, but you're going to benefit from every bit of it. You're going to have nothing to do with it, and it's all going to be me. It's all going to be me. Okay, we got to do the story. Got to do the story, All right, so they have this guy named Solomon on one end. He's already been asked, what do you want? And he wants wisdom. I probably wouldn't have asked for that because I still can't answer the question. I'm looking in the eyes of the Son of God who paid the price for my sin, gave me salvation, eternal life, peace, rest, joy. I can just go on and on and on. And you're going to ask me this question, what do I want? I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we could say, we don't need anything. You've already done it all. Or maybe we could say, help me see better. Help me see better. So we go to this story. This is really a cool story. We get over there, and I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to start reading, and then I'm going to tell you some stuff because you're going to like this one. And so they came to Jericho. Now Jesus has gone everywhere and with everybody, and thousands of people are following him because he's healing everybody everywhere he goes. He's raising the dead everywhere he goes. So they're following. So he comes to Jericho. As Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city. You ready? A blind man, Bartimaeus, was sitting by the roadside begging. So this is the coolest story. So he heard that Jesus was coming through, so he's going to make a lot of noise. He's going to scream and holler and make a lot of noise. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, to begin to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Son of David, which is the the Levitic line coming down, all of the lineage coming in, baby Jesus. He recognized it, but he couldn't see him. This is strange, but he still knew, but he couldn't see him. So Jesus heard this, and he began to shout, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And then everybody, all of the people around him told him to shut up. There were some other words used, but I can't say that in the Greek. You would think that nobody would cuss in the New Testament, but you'd be wrong. So he told him to shut up, be quiet. He just kept shouting. You know why? What do I got to lose here? I knew who he was, but I couldn't see him, but I knew who he was. He said, "Have mercy on me." And then Jesus just stopped. He just stopped. I'm messing this up. He just stopped. He said, "Come on over." Can you see this picture? He said, "I want you to get up." And he's got up, and the Bible says he threw his coat. He was so excited about it, he just threw his coat and he got up and he started walking over to him. So they called over the blind man. Jesus told him, he said, "Cheer up, get on your feet." He threw everything aside, got it to his feet, and got in front of Jesus. And then this is what happened. He asked this question: "What do you want me to do for you?" Do you think that's a little odd, knowing the Son of God already knew he was blind? Was there more to this than we're seeing or even hearing? The obvious answer, if Jesus is sitting beside you and you're blind, "What can I do for you?" you would say, "I want to see." That's what you would say. Or you would say, "I'm broke. I need money." I don't know what, you see what I'm saying? We would go for the temporary, what would be the quick fix, and you're looking at the person who came from heaven and created eternity and everything that you're living in, and you're going to ask him, and you're going to say, "Well, I just want to see." So hard, isn't it? That's what he said in the other verse. He said, "I don't know if you're paying attention. This stuff's happening all around you." Maybe he could have said, "I want to see what you see." Maybe we could say, I would like to love like you love while I'm here." Maybe that's a good one. This is hard, isn't it? He said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "Well, I want to see." And then Jesus said, "Your faith has healed you. You can see." How hard do you think that was for him? You ever thought about this? He's healing people, he's healing the blind, he's raising the dead. How hard do you think that is? For the Son of God who created everything, his life himself. He walks through a valley or he walks through a path and flowers bloom. And he can talk to the trees and they can have leaves or not. You see who we're dealing with? You see who we're talking about here? And I'm looking in 25. I just want to make sure I'm seeing right. You know, I just want to make sure. The blind man said, "I want to see." And Jesus said, "Your faith has healed you." Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. End of story. You don't hear about him anymore. So I don't know. So we have this verse that's telling us that things are happening all around you. New things are springing up. God's doing a new work and a new thing. You know, marathon nights. This is a classic God thing. It's just a classic God move. So that more people can know Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, it's uncomfortable. It had to make a change. We did something different. I know all that. But are you seeing? Is what he would ask. This is exactly what happened in 1997 when we were in the school, wasn't it, honey? You know what people said? We were crazy. I know we are. If you're sane, you should not be here. We don't like sane people. We like crazy. Crazy changed the world. Well, you know what I mean. Let's don't get too crazy with that. But I'm saying, he said, I need to make sure you know what you're seeing. Because God's doing some new things in your life. Yeah, there's been hurt, there's been pain and all that. But look around. I'm making a way for you in the streams in the desert, and there's life for you, and we're all still here making a difference from reaching people. It's still happening. He said, I just want to make sure. I need to make sure. It's one thing before we get into 25, really good. I need to make sure God must be included in the rhythm of your life in order to see what He's doing. Let's make sure we understand what we're doing. There's a rhythm to this. You have a rhythm in your life. You like going to bed at a certain time. You like getting up at a certain time. You like your coffee at a certain time. There's just a rhythm. You go to work at a certain time. You come home. Let me say this to you. If you were back in those days with the Jews, let me tell you how the rhythm would work. You want to hear the rhythm back then? Here's the rhythm. The Jews get up early, the whole family. I know this is going to kill most of y'all. Just listen to me. The whole family, kids and all, and they would have breakfast together. They would meet, they would eat, they would do their prayers, and then they would go to work. We do the opposite. We get up, we go to work, and then we come home and try to figure out what happened. See, what you got to be careful of with this rhythm, here's why you don't see God sometimes. Because God's not in the rhythm, He's on the outside of it. You see, God's over here. God's on a Sunday. Or God is when we need answered prayer. He's over here. Or maybe we need a Bible study. Or maybe we need a verse. He's over here. He's not in you, in the rhythm. Where is He in the rhythm? Where is this? I love God and I love people. And where is it when I go to the grocery store? And where is God when I go to work? And where is it when I go to school? Is He in your rhythm? You're missing Him because He's not in. This is what happens. Listen, sometimes I say I'm speaking to the choir. Y'all probably heard everything. I just got to keep you on the same note. But if God's not in your rhythm, you will miss everything I just said to you. And you won't be able to answer the question. You won't be able to answer the question. What do you want from me? If you're in the rhythm, you would have an idea. That's the problem. We've got to keep God in the rhythm. And I have a verse that I didn't put on there, but you could write it in. If you want to, act like you're all writing it down. It makes me feel better. Even those who cannot write, it's fine. But here's the verse. Let me give it to you. It's Matthew 6:33. Here's your rhythm. And I got it in a new translation for you. But first, be concerned, here's your rhythm, about His kingdom and what has His approval. What is it that God wants from us and wants us to do? What does He think about? That's what He's asking in this verse, and that's what He's been telling us the whole time. What are you thinking about, and where is your rhythm with Him? Where does that, is it a prayer in the morning? Is it a scripture? Is that the end of the rhythm? The rhythm should be going all day long. The Spirit of God moves all the time and everywhere, and He's sprouting up all over the place, and He sprouted up right here in Marathon's Nights, and here we are. And y'all just keep sprouting. But this is what I'm talking about. Then all these things will be provided to you. Everything that you want, that you would have this question, you say, I want this, God. He said, I'll give you all of that. Keep me in the rhythm and keep doing the things that I'm telling you to do. Think about what I think about. So what is Jesus going to think about tomorrow? It's the new year, and it's Monday, and snow's coming. We're going to pray for snow. I know it's going to make half of you mad, but I'm praying for it. You say, what is He going to... It's so funny. We say Jesus is going to wake up tomorrow. You think He goes to sleep? You imagine God taking a 7-day, on vacation, the world, imagine what it would be now. I mean, it's amazing what it is. It's so bad now. What would it be? I'm just saying to you, what are you seeing when you get up tomorrow? And where is God in this rhythm? Most lives are chaos, and you're reaching for a verse. God works in chaos. God works when things break down. And that's the way it always works. When there is a crisis, I'm going to tell you again, as the disciple of Jesus Christ, when there's a crisis in somebody's life, you run to it. You don't run away from it, because that's where life change happens. Nobody gets saved because it feels comfortable. Does everybody understand that? Reason people get saved because life isn't comfortable and they need something else. So we have to ask the question, maybe it's what do we see rather than what do we want? Maybe if we could see better, we could figure out the want. Maybe that would happen. I haven't figured out the answer to this question. I could give you a spiritual answer. Yes, Jesus, I'm going to love like you. And that would be true. But that would be hard. You know why that would be hard? Because I'd have to love people I don't like. And that's a problem. Is it not a problem? You're going to have to love your family again. That's a problem. You see how this works? So now we don't know what to do. I guess we'll go back to just get me through it. Is that where we are? Here's what I'm going to help you with in 25. We're going to get a rhythm with God, and we're going to pay attention to what He's doing. And what I will